the night behind her locked door. I never believed one night could tear apart everything I thought I knew about my life. But that was before I found myself standing outside her door, my hand on the cold handle, hearing sounds I wasn't supposed to hear. My name is Daniel, and if you asked anyone who knows me, they'd say I've lived a predictable, even enviable life. A stable job in finance, a good apartment, a woman I believed was the anchor of my world. Her name was Claire, and she was the kind of woman people noticed when she walked into a room, confident, magnetic, with a sharp smile that suggested she knew secrets the rest of us didn't. I was proud of her, I was proud of us. At least I thought I was. That night started like any other. I came home later than usual, the office lights having drained every ounce of energy from me. My tie was loosened, my jacket thrown over my shoulder, and I wanted nothing more than to pour a drink and collapse on the couch. But when I stepped into the building and passed the mailboxes, I noticed something unusual. Her door was locked. Not unusual in itself, but the light under it flickered like candlelight. Claire hated candles. She always said they reminded her of funerals. And then I heard it. A muffled laugh, low and masculine, followed by her voice, hushed but unmistakable, carrying a softness she rarely used with me. My blood turned to ice. I didn't knock, I didn't storm in. Instead, I leaned against the wall, frozen, listening. Each sound behind that locked door stabbed at me, clinking glasses, whispers, the creak of movement, and then something deeper, more intimate. I felt my throat close. When the door finally opened, it was Claire who stepped out. It was a man I'd never seen before. Broad-shouldered, expensive suit, the kind of arrogance that doesn't need words. He looked at me like he'd been expecting me, and without a word he walked past, brushing my shoulder deliberately like I was invisible. Inside, Claire sat cross-legged on the couch, her blouse half-buttoned, hair falling wild around her face. She didn't look guilty. She didn't even look surprised. She just looked tired. "Daniel," she said softly, as if the word itself could keep me from exploding. "It's not what you think." But I knew better. I wanted to scream, to demand explanations, to throw something against the wall. Instead, I stood there, silence filling every corner of the room until it felt suffocating. She finally stood, walked over, and touched my arm. Her skin was warm, her scent familiar, but everything in me recoiled. "Why?" I asked, my voice raw. Her lips parted, but no words came. She tried again. "Because he makes me feel something I thought I'd lost, and because you don't see me anymore." The words cut deeper than any blade. I had been drowning in work, chasing stability, thinking I was building a life for us, while she had been slipping through my fingers. And now, here she was, telling me she had already fallen into someone else's arms. I should have left. I should have slammed the door and never looked back. But I didn't. I stayed. Because part of me, the part that still loved her with a pathetic desperation, wanted to understand, wanted to fight, wanted to believe there was a way back. The days that followed blurred into a dangerous dance of denial and temptation. Claire didn't end things with him. Instead, she confessed everything, as though honesty would absolve her sins. She told me about the dinners, the late-night texts, the way he looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. And yet, she kept coming back to me, slipping into my bed, her body trembling as though she was afraid of losing me too. Every touch became tainted. Every kiss was a question. Was she thinking of him? Was I just a safety net, a familiar place to fall? I hated myself for still wanting her, for still craving the taste of her skin, even as I knew it belonged to another. One evening, I decided to follow her. I told myself it was madness, but jealousy is a poison that seeps into your veins until it controls you. She dressed carefully that night, in the black dress I'd bought her for her birthday. She left with a faint smile, one I hadn't seen in months, and I trailed behind like a shadow. They met at a hotel bar, dimly lit and loud with the hum of other people's secrets. I sat 2 tables away, my drink untouched, as I watched her lean into him, her hand grazing his arm, her laughter like a dagger. They looked like lovers in their own world, a world where I didn't exist. When they left for the elevator, I followed. My heart pounded in my chest, my palms slick with sweat. I knew what awaited on the floor above, but I had to see it, had to confront it. The elevator doors closed before I reached them, and for a moment I stood there, staring at my own reflection in the golden surface. I looked like a man unraveling. When I finally reached their floor, I walked the hallway slowly, each step heavier than the last. And then I found their door, room 514. My hand hovered over the handle, the same way it had that first night outside our apartment. I heard them inside, voices muffled but unmistakably intimate. I pressed my forehead against the door, my chest heaving, every part of me torn between storming in and collapsing where I stood. But I didn't do either. Instead, I turned and walked away, down the endless corridor, each step echoing with the truth I didn't want to face. That night I didn't go home. I drove aimlessly through the city, the neon lights smearing across my windshield like blurred memories. My phone buzzed over and over, her name flashing on the screen, her desperate messages piling up. But I couldn't bring myself to answer. When dawn broke, I parked by the river, the water glistening under the pale light. For the first time in years, I felt the weight of solitude press against me, sharp but liberating. I realized then that I had been living a life built on illusions, of loyalty, of love, of permanence. Claire wasn't mine anymore. Maybe she never really was. And I had to decide whether I would keep chasing the ghost of what we had, or finally walk away from the ruins she left behind. The truth is, I don't know what choice I'll make tomorrow. Love doesn't vanish overnight, no matter how much betrayal burns through it. But that night behind her locked door and the hotel room I couldn't bear to enter changed me forever. I am no longer the man I was. And maybe that's the cruelest part of all.